All right, what's up, YouTube? We are live here in effect.
What's up?
Post-election regroup.
Yep.
Anyway, it is I, Tenzin, 1/3 of the SOS, and to my
What's,
right is
what's up, y'all? It's B. How y'all doing?
yeah, man. What was your thoughts, man?
Well, I'll say this. Was I shocked? Yeah. Was I surprised? Absolutely not. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? At the end of the day, there's a bunch of different stuff we could talk about, and we might do it. But at the end of the day, there's one thing that was always on the back of my mind is that this country would never ever vote for a black woman to be president. That's that that I never I had hoped that it might happen, but I never really thought it would happen, if
Hmm.
that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how a lot of folks think, It's the double discrimination theory, She's black and she's a woman. Like she was gonna get hit on that the most.
Right.
So I think that was the primary reason why she didn't win. And I think there's other factors at play too. But at the end of the day, truly, it was that.
Yeah, and I watched a couple of commentators, YouTube commentators.
Right.
They kind of said something close to that.
Right.
Like this go around, like the message being sent was like this is like a rejection
Yeah.
of just not only just her
Right.
as leader, but just everything that all the good stuff that the Dems was standing for. It seemed like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and then there's other factors at play. Like, I've been trying to wrestle between with my thoughts on people's criticisms of the party. Like I've seen a lot of people straight up say that the party rejected the working class. I think Bernie Sanders even came out and wrote this real long thing talking about the party rejected the working class and screwed over its base, and now the base was fighting back. Which I mean, on one hand, I can kind of agree with that. There have been over the past, decade or whatever, we have seen Dems, shift a lot from the working class and stuff. So I do agree with that somewhat. However, it, I don't know. Maybe it could just because a lot of younger people are just misinformed, but I don't want to say it's 100% Dems quote unquote selling out that made people not turn out, because if that was the case, truly I feel like people would have rallied more around the progressive candidates that were out, you know, like last year and the year before, you know. And then B, I think you wouldn't have had this much complacency from people to allow Republicans to get in. Because if the concern was that the Dems were moving farther right, then how do you justify not turning out the vote to stop the even farther right people from getting in
Right.
the office and shutting it down? You know what I'm saying? It's like the math ain't math in there. And
And,
I've
and that's and I was watching FD Signifier. I think he pointed out that the thing, like one of the biggest differences was that like a huge chunk of people just didn't show up to the polls.
right. Well, yeah, because you had again the left leaning party has, like, Democrats, leftists, whatever, have been fractured for a long time now. It's not just this election. It's been a long time that there's been a fracture in the party. And, like I said, the people's anger at more quote unquote establishment Democrats has been more and more that has caused that fracture and everything. And then you got the whole issue with what happened to Bernie in the 2016 election.
Right.
So it's been a whole that fracture has been coming for a long, long time. I get it, and unfortunately, there is no true coalition amongst the party no more. And then you also, it also don't help that a lot of political entertainers and other stuff further that fraction and don't really try to like focus on anything that really unites the party. All you ever really hear amongst different wings of the party is how much we're better than the other wing of the party. When right wingers, even if they disagree, the one thing they all gonna do is shut up about those disagreements until election season is over. You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I don't know,
They'll
but I feel like I mean those guys definitely exist, but I feel like even those guys, well, or at least that's what it seemed. It seemed like even they understood the seriousness.
I don't know. I mean, more so now than I've ever really seen as an adult. I've seen more so people saying, "Screw it, we ain't doing nothing," having that like throw their hands up in the air attitude on this election than I've ever seen
Mhm.
in other elections. But then again, the circumstances of this election are different. I mean, you know, you had the front runner of the party drop out
Right,
like 2 months before the election. You had uh a horrific, terrible genocide in of the Palestinians going on. And then you got to factor in inflation too, which was the biggest issue amongst, according to my sources, and my sources aren't really that varied in political thought. I'll be honest. I stick to a bubble, but most of the sources I see when it came to exit polling was mainly about uh inflation and immigration. You
mhm.
know, so you had like all those things factored in together has caused a true like I said, more so than I've ever seen in my voting lifetime. I've seen in terms of like a true like fracture of the party that caused people to straight up say, "Screw it, I'm not doing nothing."
Right, and like,
Which
you think it was those votes that could have made a difference?
I
Or
think so, yeah, because I know a lot of people was blaming it on third parties, which third parties
I don't even
hurt
think they got an
too.
electoral vote, did they?
Who?
'Cause nah, like them third party candidates, I saw their points was like straight up zero.
Well, that's a lot of people wanted to blame it on the third party voters, and I'll say even though those do hurt, like somebody pointed out that even if Kamala had got all those third party people, she still probably would have lost. So, you know, you mainly have to think of the ones who A chose not to vote at all, and B those ones who may have been Biden to Trump voters, you know. And those are the more like moderate centrist people who maybe last time voted for Biden because Trump was screwing up with COVID and everything, and then they was
Right,
probably mad, and so and then now they're mad about inflation, you know, and then they went back to Biden, and then you had, and then you know, there's another factor of it too, you know, to think about. Like, yeah, you could talk about all the problems with the Democrats or leftists or whatever you want to talk about, but you also got to talk about too the people who did end up who didn't stay home who ended up voting for right wingers.
hmm,
There's a real conversation to be had about them people too. First off, white women, you know, a lot of people naively thought that the one unifier amongst all women was going to be abortion. And I think, you know, that a lot of people have pointed this out over, I mean, almost centuries, but one thing a poor white person or whatever is going to do, or a white person in general is going to do, is vote against their own self interest in order to keep themselves ahead.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? As much as they care about abortion, and I do believe they care about abortion, I've heard some people in that I know who are leaning that way who do care about the issue, but
Yeah, like I think Tommy Lauren of all people is pro-choice.
Oh
So
yeah, she been on that. That's the reason she got fired by like Glenn Beck and them. Cause she said something pro-choice on that show. But like, the main thing is though, regardless of how much that affects them, they know that Trump is their best option as a people, as a white people to stay ahead.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even though economically they gonna get hit with the shit too. And speaking of economics, that brings up another factor in terms of the Trump voters. There's a lot of low information folks out there who really, again, it may go back to the point I just brought up, or it's just flat out ignorance. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people who really do not know that most of the reason why we're facing such hard economic times was because of that motherfucker.
Right.
Like his tax plan, his 2019 tariffs and stuff like that. Like, and now the biggest thing he was talking about besides immigration and stuff was wanting to bring up wanting to increase the tariffs on China specifically. A lot of people don't know T- China don't pay tariffs. Like that's not what tariffs are. The
Right.
country, just because he levies the tariff on a foreign item does not mean that that country pays the tariff. The business who's receiving the import here in America pays the tariff. So when he goes and jacks it up to like 20, 30%, and then the rumors were even as high as 60%, that's going on the business here in America. What does that mean? That means that business, let's say they sold t-shirts or whatever, they ain't finna sell y'all no $15 t-shirts no more. That price is gonna go up so they can cover their bottom line.
Mm.
Like, it's crazy. And then
So
some of the
why
ones who,
wouldn't more business owners go for Harris then? Like, does that increase in price help them or?
well, the really rich ones, you know, like it'll hurt them in terms of like the tariffs will probably hurt maybe, but even still, they'll just jack up the price enough, especially on if it's something essential. They'll
Mm.
just jack like with fruits and everything like that. They'll just jack up the price enough so that they're covered. T-shirts and stuff. Yeah, like you probably don't need some of these t-shirts and everything, but like when it comes to fruit or like, let's say, God forbid, somebody's buying like, for like in construction, like somebody's buying like Chinese steel or whatever, like, they're gonna find a way to cover their ends one way or another. Like they're gonna find a way. Like that's the main thing of these like big businesses anyway. Now, in terms of small businesses and stuff, yeah, that they're probably gonna get hurt.
Mm.
But yeah, big businesses, they'll find a way to make sure they're covered. Like that is the reason why millionaires and billionaires stay millionaires and billionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll find a way. And then there are some people who'll say, oh well, the tariffs are really just a tool to scare businesses into making American goods instead of
That would be more
buy
expensive too, though.
what.
But like making it in house is also more expensive.
Exactly. Like you got to factor in raw materials, you got
Mm.
to factor in labor, you got to factor in shipping across the country. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that type of stuff costs money. like that price is still going to go up.
So like,
Like,
what was it? Just like vibes then? I guess like because I don't know. Like we've all seen the average Trump supporter try to explain
mhm.
like their reasoning for supporting Trump. Then you just realize, holy
I
shit, this
think it's a mix
something.
of
Like
three things, I guess: vibes, racism, and the economy. Or I should clarify, a lack of understanding of the economy. I should say that. So
because
with them three things combined, that's a dangerous combination. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of poor folks who don't understand the economy, and so they're wondering why they're poor or why they're hurting. So they'll listen to Trump, and then he feeds off racist stuff like, "Oh, the Chinese is charging too much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's too many Mexicans up in here. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that." Like, and then yeah, and then and then there's another pocket of the voters who just, like you said, with vibes. They like that vibe. Like, there's a lot of, I feel like, especially with the younger kids, there's a lot of people who voted for Trump truly
Just out of
because,
spite. Yeah.
yeah, out of spite or just straight up like out of just like, you got a lot of these weird online streamer people who've convinced them that, like, oh, these is the cool guys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or like, hey, you want to dog out women? Like, we like that over here. Oh, you don't want to be quote unquote politically correct? That's cool. We cool over here.
But
Like,
and the
unless you make
crazy
a joke
thing,
about them, then they start crying.
right? And that's the crazy thing. Like us left leaning folks. It's all feels like that's what we're stereotyped as,
Yeah,
the party of feels. But
which is crazy because there's a lot of, I wouldn't exactly consider them 100% left leaning comedians, but like there's a decent amount of like anti-Trump comedians at least who make crazy jokes. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
Eminem is anti-Trump. You know what I'm saying?
right. Like, you even got some people who've been canceled who are anti-Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your whole thing is anti-cancel culture, we got some of them too.
I mean, Bill Maher, with all his flaws, is at least smart enough to say "fuck Trump." Like, so,
Kind of over the past few years, though, he been getting crazy. I wouldn't be surprised.
I ain't watched Real Time in a couple of years. So
I haven't watched it either, but from the stuff I've been hearing, I heard that, like, I wouldn't be surprised straight up if he voted for Trump in secret or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but my thing is, like, it's just ironic that we're the party of feels, but it's
right,
like they can literally watch people break into a government building
yeah,
and still somehow, some way
right,
say, "Oh, they were the victims of that."
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Like they can watch this guy
yeah,
fumble, like COVID recovery,
right,
and then say, "Oh, he's good for the economy." They can listen to this man just spout the most hateful rhetoric you can
yeah,
ever hear about other people.
yeah,
Somehow, some way, it's like I don't know. It's like they bend over backwards, like Neo Anderson, to
mm-hmm,
avoid giving that man accountability.
yeah,
But we're the party of feels, though.
right. And like I said, there's been a lot of issues. There's a lot of blame to be had on both sides for the outcome. You know, but I will just say, in terms of the people who didn't vote based on whatever reason, right? Like, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I was just talking the other day with my mom about this. I can understand how some of those people feel, especially the pro Gaza people.
Right.
However,
What the fuck y'all think Trump gonna do?
that's kind of the point I was going to make. Like, it's more than just that at stake. Like, because, like, okay, especially with the people who live here in America. Even if, let's say, God forbid, Trump did a 180 on all his positions, came out and vowed to never send another penny to Netanyahu again, which he's not going to do, by the way. But let's say he did do that. After that, and I'd be so happy that the Palestinian people get a reprieve from the horror they've been with. However, y'all still live here. Like, abortion gone. Like,
Right. Like
healthcare.
domestic policy matters too.
Yeah, healthcare gone. Like, like, even if he don't have a plan, them Republicans in Congress have been cooking up something to gut the ACA. Let's see. Essentially rule of law when it comes to the police. Like, he essentially promised the police immunity. Like, the economy. like we about to get mad inflation because of them tariffs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
um,
the environmental protections are gonna
oh
go.
yeah, environmental protection is about to be out the window. Uh, shoot, not even healthcare. Our health system in general. He's about to put Robert. He's about to put RFK in a position that's going to tank our health services in such a way. Like,
And the scary thing is like, this go around, he's gonna be smart enough to have yes men on his side.
oh, for sure, yeah, because he don't want to repeat of the last time. Because I was just watching a video about that. They were saying like unfortunately the mistake he made was that even though they were crazy, he did surround himself with a lot of career Republicans and stuff. And a lot of them, even though they were crazy and did a lot of
Just
horrific
to have
stuff,
it.
the real crazy stuff, they was like, hey, you know, we can't get away with that. Like, like we can't do it. Like, um, yeah, so it's just nuts on that level. And then you got whatever position he's about to put Elon Musk in charge of.
Phil.
Let's see. And then I think he had said that he wanted to put Tulsi Gabbard as what, Secretary of State or something.
Oh Lord.
Like it's gonna be crazy, man. I'm telling you, it's about to be a wild ride. And then, there's also the people who was stupid enough to believe him when he said he had no connection to Project 2025. Okay. Like, when half that stuff or all of it gets put in place, then
Mm.
what? You know what I'm saying?
And that's the
Like,
thing too. Like, this is gonna be a really painful "I told you so."
right.
You know.
And that's the thing. I don't really want to do that to people. That's the other thing. Like, I don't really want to hit people with the "I told you so's" and
No,
ha
I mean,
ha's.
but that's what I mean. It won't be no haha. It'll be
Right.
like that's the thing about it. Like left leaning policies help right leaning people.
Right.
Like
Right.
but at the end of the day, you're a piece of shit, racist, but I still want you to get some fucking health care, you idiot. Like,
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of the point I was making too, in terms of like there was a lot of people who had this belief that like by making sure the Democrats lost, it would push them further left. That's not going to happen. Like,
I mean,
I
if
mean,
anything,
for real,
the Dems will be like, oh well, maybe we should get more right wing with our policies.
right? And that's what people accuse them of doing this time around. I'm just like, okay, and like sure, there may be more progressive people that come out, and yeah, maybe they'll try to market better to working class folks. But if you think you're just gonna get a whole party full of Bernie Sanders people, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Because most of the people who are in them seats, they're gonna be all right. Because they got connections that y'all don't.
Yeah.
Like, we're the ones, like, you have to build that coalition, and so in 4 years, if we even have another election again, because he was talking crazy about that too. In 4 years, God forbid everything works out okay. It's gonna be bad on that front too.
Right. And that's the and to the people that's like really far to the left, who's like, well, I'm gonna withhold my vote because of principle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a very privileged position to have.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're gonna be that unaffected by it that the outcome don't matter to you.
Right. Yeah, because the people on the ground are the ones who are gonna have to live with that stuff. Also, too, I think the thing a lot of other people don't realize is you don't just vote for the person you want as president. You vote for that person and the 100 something jobs that get created from that person. And those jobs have impacts far beyond the 4 years that person is in office.
Right. And also, I just want to say too, especially to my right leaning friendos, because this is the strong man that they hold. And to the far to the left motherfuckers who just graduated college think they smart. Listen, nobody in their right mind thought that Kamala was gonna be a savior.
Mm-hmm.
We needed her in place so that these policies that Biden had could have more time to work.
Well, that and it's easy when it comes to holding a an administration in check. It's easier to hold a Kamala in check than it is a Trump, especially a Trump who has nothing to lose. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's the
Like,
thing. Like we needed to keep that going. Like we needed that normalcy.
shoot, think about it this way. Even though, 'cause I know a lot of people, I mean, myself was upset at a lot of people from Kamala's campaign on the automated text. They were sending stuff like, "Hey, Kamala's pledging to support Israel," and stuff like that. Like, aren't you okay? Aren't you happy? Like, no. You know what I'm saying? Even though a lot of people was upset about that type of stuff and her still commitment to Israel, I will say, think about in the past couple months, the fact that people bullied her enough to even mention talks of a ceasefire.
Mm.
Now imagine doing that to Trump.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? That's not happening. Like, he don't care. Like, he don't care. Like, he
Trump's
really
gonna
don't.
go independent.
Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy,
He's
and
gonna, he's
like,
gonna let Putin do whatever he wants.
right. And same thing when it comes to like Roe v. Wade and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you can be upset that Biden never codified Roe. Yeah, you can be upset about that. You know what Kamala was promising on her campaign? To do that very thing. So you can still be upset with her for her and Biden for not doing it earlier and still have been wanting to see her do it. Now who's going to codify? Nobody. Like, plus, like the Senate got taken over, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I'm pretty sure the House got taken too, or am I mistaken?
I know the Senate definitely got took.
And yeah, and then the court obviously been gone, and it's going to be even worse. That's another thing with the courts. A lot of people don't realize that, not just the Supreme Court, but some of the lower courts as well. That's why you have the whole weird situation in terms of I think it's his Florida case, Trump's Florida case. That one judge kept trying to get him off. You know why? Because he appointed her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that's the thing. It's like, and it's hard really when it comes to the lack of knowledge. It's hard to draw the line. It, at least for me, I don't know where to draw the line between people being stupid and people not having resources to the information. That's the issue. Like, because I will say there are a lot of people who straight up don't know a lot of this stuff. And that is hard because now it's like, do I get upset at people that they don't know, or do I get upset at people for being willfully ignorant? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you
Yeah,
draw the line?
that's what I was gonna speak to. It's like there is that third category of people where it's just like they're ignorant in the sense of it's not that they just don't know it. It's
Yeah,
just they refuse to know it.
right.
You know what I mean? Like you can explain to them like as meticulous as possible,
Mm-hmm.
like the flaws in their thinking, but
Mm-hmm.
they just gonna be like they're just gonna repeat the same bullshit to you. It's like
Right. Yeah. And I will say too, I was also getting a bit upset, and this was more like a weird like celebrity politician thing that I was seeing. I did get a bit upset when I was seeing a lot of these people like, hey, everybody calm down. It's not over. Things are gonna be okay. A lot of the people who were saying that, like, were in positions that they're not going to be affected. Like, I
right.
saw Jon Stewart say that on the Daily Show. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I got upset when he did that. Like, we've been in this position before. No, we haven't. Like, we didn't. Like, we never had a
Something that
president.
regrouped.
Yeah, like we've never had a president who was pretty much told by the Supreme Court that he could do dang near whatever he wanted. Like, like we never had that situation. Like Trump's case with the Supreme Court on that issue was the first of its kind. Like,
Yeah.
like
I'm
it's
hoping Biden just goes straight up like just
right.
reckless with the policies. They'll be like,
I
fuck
hope
it.
so too. Go ahead, clear the student debt. Like,
Mhm.
it's just it's crazy, man. I don't know.
And
It's
as
like,
Lavendar said, there. I mean, I've seen a couple of other people express that opinion. Like, yeah, they don't want to. At least within this term, they're going to try to avoid pregnancy, which sucks because it's
yeah.
like, back then, it's not the same guy. Yep. Yeah, he's perfect cell now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he has carte blanche. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not to say I full on believe in like that whole stuff about like he's gonna make himself a dictator and everything. Like, I there's a part of me that still has some hope left that the government will try to stop him from doing anything that crazy.
Hmm.
You know, again, that hope shrinks every day.
Right.
And as these next 4 years come, who knows, you know, but it is a bit short sighted that I hear people doing like, oh, hey, we have 4 years. We'll be back in 4 years. Y'all don't know what the hell he's
Hmm.
going to do. You know what I'm saying? People said the same thing in 2016. Look how all the crazy stuff he tried to pull then. But at the very least, then he, like to Lavendar's point, he had no policy positions in 2016. He just did it and was making shit up as he went along. He got Project 2025. He got stuff he's been thinking about.
Right.
He has a wide range of things he can do that he's been stewing on, waiting to get back in this position. And
You know,
people handed it to him.
and he's saying shit like using the military against domestic threats. What
Right.
does that mean?
He joked the other day about the media getting shot.
Mm.
Like he wouldn't mind if somebody hit the media trying to get to him. You know what I'm saying? Like he said this. Like, like this is crazy. Like,
And it just makes you wonder what would it like how this emboldened his, like his really, really far to the
mhm.
right base.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I said the same thing after January 6th. When the amount of people that went to jail wasn't as didn't match the amount of people that went up in there, and the fact that sentences were starting to get shortened on the people that did go to jail, I said that same thing. What does that tell these people?
Hmm.
How big can they go before you say it's too big? And I said the same thing with Trump in that situation. The fact that he faced no repercussions.
None.
What does that tell him?
I mean, and the thing is, like, the thing that people do not ask themselves why it wasn't Pence his running mate again.
Right.
That's a serious question you need to
Why
figure
wasn't the
out.
majority of his old staff back with him again?
Right.
Why did John Kelly, his chief of staff, expose him for being a Nazi sympathizer last week? You feel what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, but then again, we're asking that question of people who probably already know the answer and just don't care. You know what I'm saying? And 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 again, I got a lot of smoke for white people for why they voted for him, but unfortunately, there are other demographics that we do need to bring up, like the
Now,
Latino voters.
yeah, like,
Insane.
and the crazy thing is, the motherfucking Puerto Ricans who voted early before they heard the what's his name, Hinecliffe,
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Hinchcliffe. Yeah, now they pissed off. Like, but where was you 8 years ago?
Yeah, because even though I don't think he said anything that bad, but well, actually no, the hurricane,
You tried to
like
withhold aid from y'all. Like,
yeah, like then the hurricane, he blamed y'all for not clearing the roads when he got down there. Like he was throwing paper towels. Like
Like,
He called y'all lazy and broke. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what did make me mad after when I was seeing a lot of those stuff, like especially like with Nicky Jam and all them who
mhm.
had went to his
and,
rallies and supporting him.
and
And
that's the
I'm
thing
saying,
too. It's like it's only a problem when he's talked about.
right. Like so when he had smoke for blacks, Jews, Arabs, all that stuff, like it was cool then.
Right.
But now, yeah, but
But
like
now the
what's the
Puerto Ricans getting hit. Hold on.
whoa,
Wait a
whoa,
minute.
wait a minute. Like, like that's
Oh dear. I think he's gone too far.
yeah, it's crazy. Like, and then it was sad because they said that there were some polling of some of the illegal immigrants, and they said that some of them especially new arrivals were polled, and they said that if they could vote, they would have voted for Trump because because they said he's only going after criminals, not working people. So
Oh.
misinformation has already hit them down there too. He don't care, guys. That's what I like. People don't realize this. Like, he don't care whether
This is
you're
not
hard workers, whether you're criminals, whether you're priests, like whether you're a nurse, a doctor. He don't care. He said it out of his own mouth. He's coming for all of y'all. you know.
what's
And
what,
also, and I'll say, this election definitely, you know, exposed to. I didn't know the Latino demographic had it so bad in terms of like their diaspora or whatever, because like I didn't know that a lot of them like that they be fighting racist sentiments in their own in house and stuff like that. I didn't know that, like like
I,
I
yeah,
said,
they
like
got
with Cubans
anti-black
and stuff
people.
like that. Like, a lot of the Florida Cubans are like rich Cubans who
Mm,
truly think that none of that affects them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't
right.
care. And then like there's a big stigma apparently too, like between legal legal immigrants and like the illegal ones. Like,
Right.
they be
So
beefing
they're
with each
like,
other.
well, shit, I made it legally. Why can't you? Kind of shit.
Or and then I also heard too, like some of the illegal ones who've been here real long, be mad at some of the new ones, and I just be like, how?
Right. I
Like,
don't get it. Like you're a minority yourself, but you somehow
right?
still find a way to find a reason to look down on someone else.
It's
You know.
crazy. It's sad that
And
they just truly. I felt the same way when the affirmative action thing got hit, and Asians were celebrating, talking about they couldn't get into college because of black folks, bruh. Y'all was the calls coming from inside the house, y'all. Like, y'all think them white people care if y'all get into college?
right.
Like, like they trying to keep y'all out too, bruh. Like, and then
Like you either.
there's another unfortunate aspect that we got to talk about, but not as much. I saw the early reactions. People was trying to blame black folks, especially black men, and that demographic. Even though it was disappointing to see the amount of people that voted for him, it wasn't that high to support that.
Yeah,
It was
I wanted to mention that because Barack Obama singled out black men on this, but I just found it strange. So I'm like,
well
the
at the
people
time.
always,
I get why, because all
he
of
always skew Democrat. So I just thought that was just a weird thing to point out.
I get it at the time because there was a lot of polling being done talking about how good Trump was doing with black men and stuff like that. And like, I got why he did it at the time, especially it didn't help that there was a lot of videos of just the bottom of the barrel, stupidest
Mm.
black dudes going
Uh,
around.
some
Hey
some
man, Trump gave me that little stimmy, bro. Like,
that stimmy that he fought against, by the way.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I got it at the time. I definitely got it. But yeah, seeing it this morning was a bit upsetting, only because like even if every one of us did vote for Trump, that still wouldn't have been enough to like hurt,
Mhm.
like to make Kamala lose. Like, that was a whole different thing, you know. And now I will say though, was disappointing that he won almost 18% of black men. That was crazy.
Right.
Like, what was y'all doing?
I mean,
Like,
no, it's like I guess with them, it's like okay, I may be black or whatever, but I'm still a guy, so maybe just maybe I can be close
right.
to some semblance of power.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was seeing. It was that and like economic stuff, even though most of them is not in the tax bracket for the Republicans that care about them. So like
And that's the thing too, and it's like as our audience can see, we are cool with Trump supporters. Like, Chad Beck is a friend of the show. But I mean, it makes you wonder, like what's gonna be a deal breaker? Like,
right.
what I mean? It's a lot of stuff you overlook willingly.
Yeah, like openly too. Like it's not like they hiding the racism, bro. Like they be out there full force with it. Like crazy. And that's where to me the scary thing in terms of black, well, I mean, we're going to get hit hard by a lot of this, but I think the real scary thing is his whole pledge to give cops immunity and
Mm.
everything like that.
And the
Like,
thing is, like, their unions are already like,
exactly. Like, but like that's the other that's what I said. Like when it comes, that's what I was talking about earlier when I felt like one of the big three pillars of white people vote for him was racism,
mm,
because like that whole belief that cops are in danger and not being able to do their job, bro. Their police unions get away with so much stuff,
right.
bro. Like like it is insane how much cops get away with.
And I
Like,
say, and I say this as somebody who has respect for law enforcement. The people who do it the right way.
yeah,
But come on, like it's
right.
like they don't need more immunity. They pretty
Right,
much have it. Like,
right. Yeah, like what don't y'all got? You know what I'm saying? Like y'all got one of the most powerful unions in America. Like for real, like we be keeping it a buck. That's one of the most powerful
right, and even
labor forces in the country.
and and even in the unfortunate event where you know one of you all is KIA,
Yeah.
retaliation is not minimal. Like that
Yeah.
person, 9 out of 10 is being found.
And most likely not
Yeah.
making it to prison.
Right. Like, what I'm saying? They lighting their ass up. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, bro. It's
they might
like,
just light up the wrong person just for the fuck of it.
yeah,
Like the
uh
whole hood getting shut down. But
yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know. But I guess I'm trying to think like how do you I guess the big question we gotta ask ourselves is like I know, like I said, I don't want to give false optimism like I've seen from a lot of like celebrities and politicians and stuff talk about like, oh, we're gonna be fine. Cause I don't want to give that because I mean, let's be real, it's not gonna be fine. Like, but I do want to I guess try to find a way maybe to say it's not really going to be fine, but maybe we can find a way for it not to be as bad.
oh,
If that,
yeah.
yeah, not to be horrible. And I guess even though I don't really think that the Democrats are going to go further left, I will say, kind of like after 2016, there's going to be a lot of ground causes, a lot of ground groundwork being done.
Mm.
A lot of grassroots organizations going to pop up because I've seen a lot of that after 2016. There was a lot of organizing, so hopefully, maybe with that, that's going to help. But even then, I get worried about stuff like that because God forbid they pass something against protesting. Like
Right. Again, Trump's supposed to be this pro-American candidate,
yeah,
but he goes after the press and protesting
right,
Fifth Amendment rights that they pretend to care about
right,
when they want to be shitty towards minorities.
yep.
Boy.
So I guess like I hope that a lot of grassroots organizations do come out. I hope a lot of people choose to act and fight, you know what I'm saying, with whatever powers that we're allowed to have, you know. And I guess I hope too that even though I don't 100% believe the party will turn all the way left, we do get more progressive voices in
Mm.
office. However, part of that though is understanding that unless you do a full overhaul of the party, which would mean a lot of y'all who like to scream and cry need to go out to vote if
Mm.
y'all want a full overhaul of the party. But
Right.
unless you get a full overhaul of the party, you're not going to have a fully progressive
Mm.
Democrat party. And what does that mean? Meaning that a lot of the real progressive ones who do make it, unfortunately, are going to have to do things to
Right.
assimilate and survive. And I think one of the biggest issues I have, and I want to say I consider myself either progressive, if not a full on leftist. But one of my biggest issues I have with a lot of the real terminally online ones is that the minute you get like an AOC or somebody and they start to try to find a way to survive within the party, the issue I have is that once they have to start, I will not necessarily compromise. Well, no, I guess compromise would be a good word.
Mhm.
Once they have to start compromising or have to tone down something a little bit, people immediately call them a sellout and a traitor and stuff like that.
Yeah, and which gives fuel to grifters like Jimmy Dore,
Right.
who use that as ammo,
Yep.
to steer people from the left. So it's like,
Well, it also gives fuel to like the more quote unquote establishment people in the party too, because then they'll be like, oh, well, you can't please those people, so then we can't address them at all. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why they don't 100% get. Don't get me wrong. Most of it, the biggest reason is greed and power. But like, one of the other reasons why a lot of those people don't survive that long or have a hard time surviving is because the people who was in their corner call them a sellout the minute they
right,
try to survive within the party. Now, there have been people who did straight up go there and sell out. I
right,
mainly look at John Fetterman here from
yeah,
Pennsylvania. He
definitely,
ran on a big old progressive platform and didn't try to do half of that stuff and then openly like went after the people who got him in office. So them types, oh, best believe. But like people calling AOC and Corey Bush and all them sellouts because God forbid they tried to work with some of the establishment people. Y'all, like, again, unless you truly go out and vote, and I know people like them types hate when people tell them to vote, but unless you truly go out and vote and overhaul the entire party, until that day comes, you got to work with them people. I'm sorry, you have to work with Nancy
right.
Pelosi. Like, I hate to have to tell you that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but
Like,
that's like, and that's the thing too. Is like the fact that, I mean, I get it. Most of them are like young, but like the fact that it does have to be told to them, like, yeah, that's how politics works.
yeah,
There's a lot of compromising. I mean,
yeah,
look, I mean, my candidate lost. Now I have to deal with it. I have to move accordingly.
right,
You know, these 4 years are gonna suck ass.
yeah,
you know, unless Trump does something like just so fucking crazy that they just have to arrest him on the spot. Right.
right. And even then, that's going to be hard again with that Supreme Court ruling. Is I worry about how much power that ruling gave him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does scare me. That's the one thing that really does scare me. Like, is how much, like, I'm hoping that we have checks and balances in place to stop him. But, I mean, like I said, he's a runaway train at this point. Like, he don't got to worry about getting reelected. Like, you know, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It does worry me. And I think a part of my shock came too was like there was a part of me that naively thought that the quote unquote establishment, mainstream, like old money Republicans was sick of the Trump stuff and wanted to get away from it. But then I realized too, it was too
Some
late
of
to
them
get.
were.
Some of them were, but it was too late for them to get away from it at that point
Right.
because they had already sold out the party to them. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, so you
I mean,
already,
similar to the Weimar Republic. You know what I'm saying? They used
yeah,
Hitler to get people. Well, the Conservative Party used Hitler to get them
yeah,
to, to their side, but he got too powerful for him. So,
yep,
hmm,
got them up out of here. So now they're like, they gotta either toe the line or shut up. Like, uh, yeah, it's crazy. You know, I know we talked mostly about the presidential races, but I mean the Senate races too. Are just
hmm,
awful too.
and that's gonna be yeah. That's another barrier. So that means like any conservative law could just right through, basically.
Like I said, same with the courts, and then like I said, Judge Sotomayor is getting sick. God forbid in the next 4 years she dies or has to vacate her seat. That's another pick for Trump on the
Mm,
Supreme Court. He's already put 3 people on the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is terrifying. Like I said, that is for life. That is the thing people don't understand when it comes to picking a presidential candidate. Like I said, it's not just the president, it's the
right.
100 or something jobs he gets to appoint under, from being president. And then from those jobs, the people they pick in their departments and stuff, or the laws that they passed, or the mandates they put in place. Like, whew, like I said, it's a scary time. And I'm trying to find the optimism. Like I said, I'm optimistic about grassroots stuff. I'm optimistic that people will try to vote better politicians to fight.
Hmm.
I'm optimistic about that part. But in terms of being optimistic 100% that we won't get too hurt like normal people, that's the part where I'm like, I don't know how much optimism I really have left. Like, you know, but I'm trying. I'm trying, y'all.
Mm. Well, I'm gonna just finish by reiterating with this
Mm-hmm.
to those who voted for Trump. Like I said, there was a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a deal breaker to you.
Yeah.
Though you're sociably cool, it does make me question you.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy the Christian nationalism. I hopefully, and you know what, hopefully the worst case scenario does not happen. And
Yeah.
we're pretty sure it doesn't. But just know it could affect you negatively.
Mm-hmm.
If it took you that long to realize it, then maybe you had ulterior motives for voting for Trump other than policy.
Yep. And I'll say this too. I said this about the people who, like, the non-voters and stuff, but I really, really, really have this smoke for a lot of Trump supporters. And if some of my friends who go that way get mad about this, honestly, I don't really care at this point. Do not, under any circumstances, complain about abortion, the economy, your taxes, or family members or friends of y'all getting hit by immigration, anything like that. Don't or even foreign policy. Don't complain about none of it. Because smarter people than us have tried to tell y'all, tried to warn y'all, break it down. And like I said, if y'all couldn't find the information, then I'm sorry. If y'all didn't want to accept the information, then I have nothing for you. But do not, under any circumstance, complain to my face at all. I will laugh in your face. Even if I'm on the same street with you hustling for pennies on the corner with a tin cup, I will laugh while we sitting right next to each other with the same tin cup begging for pennies. Because everyone tried to tell y'all. And that's kind of where I end on
Mm. And that's the perfect way to end it.
that.
All right. folks. I mean, I know it's pretty somber, but
Yeah.
look, we had to get it off our chest. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, hey, we're in this together.
Yeah.
All right. This is Tenzin.
It's B.
We're signing out, y'all.
Peace, y'all.